Hi, my name is Robert Reich, former U.S. Secretary of Labor under Bill Clinton, and now a professor of public policy here at UC Berkeley. My question is on the environment. We know now that the atmosphere can only contain a certain amount of carbon dioxide without dangerous global warming. In fact, we are experiencing dangerous global warming. But most of the proposals for doing something about this allow polluters to continue to pollute for free up to the level that they've polluted in the past, and then somehow restrict them with regard to levels of pollution above that. But doesn't it make more sense to require polluters to buy the right to use the sky or atmosphere, this common resource, through an auction or a similar mechanism, and then use the proceeds for research into alternative non-carbon-based fuels, or to compensate all Americans for perhaps higher prices they'll have to pay because of these restrictions? In other words, an auction of carbon rather than a cap-and-trade system.
Well, thank you, Mr. Secretary. You're absolutely right. The plan that I have proposed, in fact, auctions off the right to emit any carbon dioxide below the cap that should be brought down each year. And the proceeds of that money, of that auction, can be used to completely change the way we produce energy in this country. So we reduce carbon emissions by at least 80% by 2050, and the money is used to create wind, solar, cellulose-based biofuels, all the renewable clean sources of energy. And if I want to take just a minute to think about the consequences of this, because they are really profound. We can create 1 million+ jobs in America. We can get America off its addiction to oil. We use 22 million barrels of oil a day. We strengthen the American economy. We can also have an impact on other places in the world. For example, in the Middle East, where we have dangerous regimes, dangerous leaders who have no incentive to reform, no incentive to educate their kids, absolutely no incentive to economically develop. Once we get off our addiction to oil, the Europeans, the Japanese do, we drive down the demand for oil. The result is, when the price of oil goes down, and goes down dramatically, these countries and these leaders have no choice but to reform. To survive, they're going to have to educate their kids, they're going to have to economically reform, and we're undermining dangerous regimes, and we're undermining the forces of terrorism, something that this president has never understood. And then on top of that, because America has the land mass to have large farms that can support biofuels, which is where the transition will have to lead to, because we have that land mass, we can produce the crops ourselves. But in Europe they can't, the Japanese can't. So what are they going to do? Hopefully, number one, they'll buy from us. But on top of that, they'll also be looking for cheap land and cheap labor. Where will they go? Africa. The result is millions of families in Africa will be lifted out of poverty. So it is really important for us to understand we strengthen America's economy, deal with the crisis, change the dynamic in the Middle East, and in the process, as an added benefit, we can actually lift millions of people who live in abject poverty every day out of poverty. This is amazing, the consequences we can create.